Our hearts will always be joined together. This is what Dad wrote next to a photo of Mum and himself shortly after they were married. My story is about my mother. Mum married young at the age of 17. It was 1937 during the Japanese invasion, a very difficult period in China. The Japanese arrived at their hometown and they had to run away. I was not yet born, and I understand Mum had to carry my elder sister for that horrific journey. After the war, Mum and Dad took our family to Hong Kong where we grew up. Our family was not rich. Mum and Dad continued to feed the family and put us through college. Perhaps the war had taught our parents to be kind to other people in need. Our small home had been a refuge to many of our friends and relatives who came out from China after the war. As I recall, during my childhood, there were always other people living with us at different times. At the age of 16, I was the first in the family to leave home. I left by boat, a passenger ship called Juliwa. Going overseas by boat was quite popular in those years because it was cheaper than by plane. My family came onto the boat to see me off. From the boat's railings, we threw paper streamers at the well-wishers down below. As I waved goodbye to my family and friends, I spotted my mother from amongst the crowd standing on the wharf. She looked lost. I came to Sydney, Australia, and went to a boarding school called Holy Cross College in Ryde. I studied hard, but I missed my family a lot. I wrote a letter home every week, and my family wrote to me also. It would be another 25 years before I was united with my parents again. In my memory, Mum was a good-looking lady when she was young. I know my father was said to have married the prettiest girl in the town where she lived. Even in her 50s, she was still very attractive. Mum was tall, even taller than my father. She was always conscious of being so tall, but she was really not too tall. By today's standards, she would have been very outstanding indeed. 20-odd years ago, Mum and Dad migrated to Australia. They loved Australia. By that time, I was already married with children, and my youngest brother had also come to Sydney to study. They lived by themselves and enjoyed their leisure life of retirement. They went to the park to practice Tai Chi every morning, and they learned how to get around by bus and by train. We saw Mum and Dad regularly, and they loved seeing us and our children. This is a photo of Mum and Dad enjoying the company of our daughter, Evelyn, in our backyard. Dad passed away in 1989. After that, Mum soon developed dementia. We did not realize it in the beginning and were always wondering why she kept losing her things. Eventually, the doctor gave us the bad news. I heard that some dementia patients can get a bit frustrated, but Mum had always remained very pleasant in spite of her conditions and was always smiling as if she was apologizing and thanking us for the trouble. Mum loved to go to restaurants to have yum cha, so I took her to yum cha every week. There is a restaurant in Burwood which was adjacent to a road, and we did not need to climb stairs, so we mostly went there. However, very soon Mum could not eat solid food, and later could not even recognize me. I still remember the first time she gazed at me and asked, "Who are you?" I was heartbroken. She went into a nursing home which was also in Burwood. It was run by the Australian Chinese Nursing Home Foundation. She was well looked after there. But Mum was always confined to a wheelchair. I do not think life was too comfortable for her. I went to see her every week and watched her condition deteriorate with time. Every time I saw her, a little bit of her died. 1 year later, she contracted pneumonia and passed away. We were very sad. We buried her next to Dad. That was the way she wanted when she was still sober. We honor Mum and Dad with the same tradition that they had honored all our ancestors when they were alive. And we wish them happiness in the next life.